You said you had a bitchy topic.
It is so bitchy.
How bitchy is
And
it?
I feel like you could appreciate this.
I can always appreciate a good bitch session.
Okay.
Restaurant Punk, what's up?
I think she said restaurant punk.
Welcome to Restaurant Punk. Restaurant Punk Girls Room.
Women.
It's the girls' room.
When you're
Welcome.
perimenopausal, you're a woman, not a girl.
Yeah, but well, I don't know. Did
What?
you know that show? It was on Nick, I think, right? It
Yeah.
was Amanda Bynes, and she would be like, "It's
Amanda,
the
please.
girls'
No.
room."
Oh,
It's the girls'
No,
room.
I was like 35 when that came out.
Whatever.
Anyway, when people reference like kid shows, I'm like, yeah, no.
But this is what I mean. You look like I could pack your lunch for tomorrow when you're telling me you're premenopausal. I don't understand.
You can pack my lunch. That's fine. I got in a fight with a coworker because he was talking about the movie Sandlot. He's like,
Okay.
you know? I'm like, I don't know. He's like, yeah, you do.
You don't know The Sandlot?
No, because I was like in my 20s when it came out. So I go, why?
And I'm in my almost 30s
Nah.
now, and it's still a banger
I
of a
watch
movie.
that at least once a month.
Benny the Jet was my first
Yeah,
hot flash, okay?
But when you watch shows when you're a kid and then you're like,
Speaking
oh,
of
remember
menopause.
when you watch as adults, different. When it comes out and you're an adult, it's different.
You said you had a bitchy topic.
It is so bitchy.
How bitchy is
And I
it?
feel like you could appreciate this.
I can always appreciate a
Okay.
good bitch session.
Okay. I feel like you'd be very diplomatic, whereas we would not.
That's the Pisces in me.
So, how do you handle so if you're someone who has standards and you in the workplace,
Okay.
and you're surrounded by people that don't have standards, how do you deal? Like, how do you not decide? Well, I don't know because you've done it. Like, how do you not just decide to work from home?
Yeah, I did decide.
It's
to
a
work from
lot,
home,
right? Like one day, you and I were talking. We were doing a Zoom call,
Yeah.
and although I knew she worked from home for whatever reason, that day I'm like, I'm so fucking envious. Like, I'm not a person who's envious of anyone for any reason,
Right.
But that moment, I'm like, oh, I'm so jealous that she can work from home and have to deal with these bullshit.
I think that's actually really funny. I was at an appointment this morning, and the girl was asking me, she was like, oh, like that must be so awesome for you to work at home. You don't have to deal with any of the drama. And I'm like, no, it all still exists, right? I just get to hang up and scream about it instead of waiting until I'm in my car to scream about it, or like going to the bathroom and scream. So it does give you that like wall, if you will, like separation, so
You
that
still
you can
have to
have
deal with
that
the stupidity.
Exactly. But it also isolates you in the sense that you don't get those interactions that are just purely social and like purely because you're next to someone and you see them and you're like, oh, hey, how was your weekend? Because unless you're like, Liz is like, I would love that. Yes,
Yeah,
please.
that's so.
She said, I'm sorry, I found
Yeah.
no issues with this
I
right
never
now.
want to connect with anyone ever again. Thank you.
Thank you.
No, but like, you know what I mean? Like, so for me, I started right out of college working from home, and I didn't have, like, I was back living in my hometown where I went to high school, working from home. I had no way to like meet new people, meet new friends, like have a social life beyond
Where'd you go to high
the
school?
Slow Lower.
Oh, okay.
I don't even know what that
Middletown
means.
Gym.
Shout out Lower for life. Yeah, but like it was hard because as a early 20 something and you're like in a small town and you're trying to find your way as an adult
Break
and
the
a
cycle
professional.
of this town.
But like, I don't know, like just trying to like create a life that's different from what you grew up in, because obviously like you grow, you evolve, whatever. The question is though, how do you deal with having standards when you're working
With
in
people who
a
have
workplace
none.
when other people around you don't? I think it can be really hard because there's a lot of potential for you to just build up resentment.
Yes.
I think it's like the same as personal relationships, right? Like unless you choose to address it and choose to address it quickly, then it's just going to fester and build and you're going to get more upset, but that person's going to get more comfortable not doing anything because you just keep doing it for them. So it's like you got to kind of strike that balance between, okay, I'm not going to be the bitch that's like, you need to do this. And if you don't, and I'm going to tell so-and-so, because I've been in that position.
Yeah.
I've been made the person who's been told, you are the brand manager, and your job is to walk around the property and make notes about all of the things that are wrong and then come back and tell management so that then management can go and reprimand those people. And it is a horrible role to be in, right? Because now everyone resents you.
Yeah.
Because you're the one that's just tattletaling on them. But you're trying to raise the standard.
Yeah.
As you said.
I feel like, and sorry to interject.
Please do.
But like as a server, working around other people, like knowing I have higher standards, I have this like chronic condition to where like I can work really freaking hard for other people, and then like working hard for myself can sometimes be difficult, right?
Yeah.
Like I don't know if I need to go back to therapy because like I'm such a people pleaser that like me working for someone else and meeting their standards is more important than meeting my own. We'll unpack that later. But
come sit on my couch.
when it comes to working as a server and someone has less standards than me, I'm going in because I can go in and clock out, check out, whatever. Like, I'll go work harder than you. Yeah, I'm going to go home and bitch about it, or come to you guys and bitch about it and be like, oh my God, this girl didn't do this, X, Y, Z, whatever. I still went, made my money, and left.
Yeah.
As a business owner, I find often that I pick up so much slack because, again, as a people pleaser, it's like, I don't want to make anybody feel uncomfortable. And I also know that I can still do it better than anybody else. So why
That's
even?
the trap, though. The I can do it better
my
trap.
God.
Oh, it's a dangerous
It's the
one.
worst one.
It's really dangerous.
And I feel like, you know, I've been slowly, obviously this is my first year, like as a business owner in the restaurant industry. And I feel like I finally learned how to delegate, like when it comes to events and things like that. Like I know how to plan an event, delegate the jobs, you know, X, Y, Z. But now when it comes to a restaurant, I'm like, okay, how do I manage this? This is different. I was only ever really like a server into manager into now restaurant owner, to where now I'm picking up so much slack. And I'm just sitting here like, oh my God, you guys really don't have the common sense for like half this shit.
Common
like,
sense isn't common.
Oh my
One
God.
of my mom's favorite phrases she always said when we were growing up, common sense isn't common. And I think that that's like, the other one is, you know, if you expect other people to do what you're doing, you're always going to be disappointed. Because it's never going to happen.
It's never gonna happen.
And like, it's still going to be a challenge. But I think the most efficient way to do it is to create systems. And I know Liz and I are big systems people and list people. And like, so like for me, if we're going to be restaurant specific, it's like, okay, what is your opening checklist? What is your closing checklist? Is there a side list checklist that says, okay, you're bored? Fantastic. Wipe the windowsills, clean the baseboards, shine the mirrors, clean the vases that are in the centerpieces. Cause normally we just are swapping out the water and refilling them. Like, what are those things that exist? And like, you know what they are because you're the owner and you're thinking about them all the time. And they're the things that wake you up at 1, 2, 3 a.m.
Yeah.
But someone who's clocking in and clocking out isn't thinking about
but that's the
scum
thing
on your
though,
vases.
is that like I'm a list person too,
Yeah.
right? So like I have my processes and procedures, I have my training packet, I have my this, down to like every 7 minutes I want you to go to the table and water them. Like, and again, if you're bored,
I don't want to work for you anymore.
they're more so like server tips, right? But like I am so particular in so many different things to where like I have a mark on my dimmers, on my lights, like at the beginning of every shift.
Yeah.
Just dim them to this. The music in the bathroom should be at 50%. The music in the front speaker should be at 57%. Like I couldn't be more specific, and here we are today. And somehow like, and then sometimes I think because I'm way too specific and I don't make things a little bit easier,
sometimes the balance
that it's like I'll make 10 things easy, but then there's 3 hard things, and those 3 hard things are too hard compared to how easy everything else is. And I'm like, oh my God, I can't dumb everything down. I can't dumb everything down.
But I found the hard way that sometimes because I just feel if you're very specific, what's the problem? But it is a problem because people shut down. When you have lists on top of lists of things that are so specific to make it easier, people just see that shit and just shut down.
I think part of it is feeling micromanaged, right? No one wants to feel micromanaged,
right,
but
that's true.
And again, it's like the balance, right? And it's so hard. And that's the entire thing is like, you know what needs to get done. You know how you want it done. But is there a happy medium where it's like, okay, maybe they're not watering the table every 7 minutes, but they're going at least 3 times during the meal? Heavy of a burden.
But put it this way,
still
it's like,
times out to the same thing. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
you know, when Yanni shows up, and I think we've discussed this on a different episode, like if Yanni shows up and Yanni's helping, there's one or two things. Either A, like, thank God, because I'm running around busting my ass and we really did need the extra hand. And thank God Yanni's like, raising a hand to help, right? Or I was like inside checking my phone for the first time all night and Yanni came in and stepped in. And I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm in trouble, right? Like, I don't want him to help unless it's absolutely necessary. Mind you, this is like when I was working at Vintage or George's or anywhere else. Now, I find that when I walk into my restaurant, it's just like, I will go in and like 2 tables need to be bussed and like my server's not running. Like, if I'm bussing your table, that's because you physically don't have a second, a minute, 3 minutes to do it. But for whatever reason, when I show up, it's more so like, oh, thank God you're here to help. Okay, like I'm a chill and just like box this food, like you go bust the table. And I'm like, no. So like I've been having to, and I don't know if it's because we're slowing down and people are finding different paces or whatever, but it's like, if I'm here to help you, it's because you better damn well need a helping hand. Like I'm going to go in the back and help any way I can. I'm not scared to get my hands dirty. I don't mind bussing a table at any given time. But just because I show up doesn't mean you can take a backseat breath and let me pick up what you're supposed to be doing in a shift. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I think that it's a difference of like what you said at the beginning of the episode. You're like, maybe I'm just too much of a people pleaser versus like, that's a big thing that I feel like Yanni is known for and sometimes respect.
I'm sorry. What is Yanni known for? Not being a people pleaser.
No, that's my point.
Okay.
Is the exact opposite.
Yeah.
He's has a reputation, be it good, bad, or ugly, that like he's not gonna take any shit. He's it doesn't matter if you're a customer, if you're treating the staff poorly, thank you, goodbye. Please don't come back. If you're a server and you're not doing what you're supposed to do, thank you. Have a nice day. See you never. Like he made me cry more than once as a server. Like, I don't want to be that manager. I don't think you want to be that manager. But like, where does the fear versus respect thing come in? Because I'm sure your staff respects you, but is it more about, well, now you're here and we respect you, but you're willing to just like help us versus Yanni, he comes in, he sees it, he's like, what in God's name do you think
or
is
even
going
if
on
my
here?
servers see Yanni come in, they're like, oh shit, that table needs to get cleaned. And then I walk in, they're like, hey girl. And I'm like, no, no.
Right.
Well, okay. So this is how I watch Nick and how he handles the employees. He will make them physically do something and redo it. And not in a tyrant way, but how do I explain it? He doesn't sit there and say, okay, here's a list, now go off and do it. He sits with them and he'll do it with them. Okay, let's do this over and over. You know, like cleaning out the fridge or organizing things. And I find that when the staff sees you jump in and help them, the first few go rounds, then they're like, okay, they were in the trenches with me, then I get it now. For some reason, I feel like that's helpful.
Yeah.
There's times in restaurants where I took the bus, I'm like, come help me fill the salt and peppers. And they would. And then they just started getting the habit that way. No one really wants someone to come at them with a list and be like, here, do it. Because that's what I said. Do you know what I'm saying? I think there's something about that.
I think for me, it's more so just like the basics of serving, right? Like it's the bussings of the table. It's the watering the tables. It's the boxing of the food or whatever. Like if I show up and I see you handing a box of food, which this doesn't really happen. It's happened like 2 times that I've actually had to like genuinely reprimand. Like at my restaurant, we don't just drop off a box unless you, like I always ask people, do you mind if I box this for you? There's been a handful, maybe even less, of people that said, no, I'd prefer to box my food. Some people are like that.
Yeah.
But for the most part, everyone's like, oh, hell yeah, take my dish. I'm not going to box it. Like, you do it. And there were a few times to where, like, it's just the basics, I think, that what I see people just not doing it right, that I'm like, all right, let me show you how to do it. This is how I do it. And I even, like, try to word it in a way like, hey, you know, I saw that you did this. Like, this is how I would either prefer you to do it or how I think it would be more effective to be done or whatever. And they're like, oh, okay, cool.
And then they pretend that
have-
conversation never happened.
Do you have like a training period when you first hire people, like that you go through all of those things and like
Yeah,
show them
I have
how to
like
start? Because like I feel like that's I don't know.
I have like different stages, right? So like day 1, I have everybody like running food, bussing tables, and like setting tables, right? Like I want you to learn the lay of the land. I want you to know where all the essential things are. I want you to see every single plate that's coming out. That way I can be like, this is this plate. This is this plate. You can see the portions. I'll give you like a flavor palette for this dish, because some people are like, here's the menu. I give you a breakdown sheet of how many shrimp comes in that dish, what it tastes
Can't
like.
wait to train.
Yeah, baby. I'm like, I try, because I'm like,
Yeah.
you know, I don't want my server to go up to a table and someone be like, what's the amatriciana, which is already really hard to pronounce. And then be like, oh, okay, it's pork shank and guanciale and red pepper flakes and a red sauce. It's like, cool. I just read that. Like,
Right. Yeah,
that's everything that they can read.
Yeah.
I want you to describe how much is in the dish, like what flavor it is, and what's the difference between guanciale and pancetta, like little things like that, to where they get more information and you can sell it to them. So like with my training, like I try to be very specific, and I even kind of told Liz, because I think you asked me one day, like, are you going to train me over here one day? And as a business owner, though, is when I train, it's difficult, because then like as halfway through training, I'm like, oh shit, I got to go do this real quick, because like I have so many other things to do, to where Lena, who used to train for me, she is literally a teacher. That's what she does, right? So she teaches. So she would sit there with my servers and shove a cork into a used wine bottle and force them to open them, and then put a new cork in and make them open it until they got comfortable opening wine table side without putting it on the table, without bringing it back. If the cork broke, how to like maneuver it, whatever. Like she was so good and patient and certain things like that, to where I'm like, oh my God, I lose patience. Let me just do it.
Yeah.
And there's my problem.
Yeah.
Thank you for
that
coming
is
to my
probably-
TED Talk.
Thank you for coming to therapy today, Noelle. I'm glad we could help you resolve that problem.
If anybody has a good therapist in this area, let me know.
I don't even know. I mean, we mostly spoke about it from an owner perspective, but like with coworkers, I feel like it's obviously even more challenging, because they're like, who the are you? You're the same position as me. Like, who are you to tell me? I mean, I'll still boss people around, but it's tough. I just really think the solution is just to work from home.
Well, but
Ideally.
like, is there something to what you just said, right? Like if you're not the owner, if you are the server, or you're the employee who is having that experience, and you're seeing my coworkers just aren't doing things, like, is it not in here, you should do this because I don't want to do it kind of way, but like, hey, like I'm gonna roll some silverware, like come help me. Hey, I'm gonna clean the bathroom. Do you mind doing the windows? Delegating, but not delegating, and just like kind of striking that balance between like just being friendly and also motivating them, because like, I don't know, if I show you mine, you show me yours kind of thing.
Yeah.
You know, like
Yeah.
people start to feel silly, at least people with any sort of like
Common sense.
moral compass, common sense, whatever, that like when everyone else around me is doing something, and if they're asking you, if everyone around you is doing something and they don't say anything to you, it's really easy to sit there and do nothing. But if everyone around you is doing something and they turn to you and go, hey, Noelle, do you think you could stock the fridge while Nick sweeps and I put these dishes away? What's she going to say? No. If she says no 3 times, then you do. You go to your manager and you're like, we've tried to be reasonable.
Yeah.
Like this person just is not willing to help.
So I worked with someone, I'm not going to say who, at one of George's restaurants who was related to him. And I said, and I was cleaning, and he's watching me clean. No shame. I said, can you just I did the other stuff. Can you just fill the salt and peppers? And he said, well, George said that if it's this high, then I don't need to fill it. I go, okay, well, how about you just do it anyway? And he said, George is your boss. I go, I don't give a shit. How about you just do it anyway? And then he did it. But the point was, some people have no shame.
Yeah, but
They don't care. They're
but
like,
you're
"That's fine, I'll let you do it."
You're factoring in like some
Yeah, they're young.
nepotism,
Yeah.
some youth, some just like, listen, if all the cards are stacked against you, you're gonna end up going home naked after poker. But like, I don't,
Yeah.
you know.
I mean,
but
he did comply.
there you go.
Saying.
You won.
I did win.
You won. So I mean, I think that there is something to just like inviting them to join the party kind of
Absolutely,
thing,
yep.
instead of trying to like assign them a task. And I think that as I said at the beginning, like it can be really hard to address it quickly. But if you don't, you're just going to get more resentful. You're going to get burnout. You're going to keep doing all the things. And eventually it's all going to blow up one way or another. So like save yourself.
So stop trying to be so nice in a while. Just tell them what's up. You suck. You need to do a better job, bitch.
I know.
Or like, hey, I'm going to go wash these windows. Want to help?
I'm like, you guys are doing so
Okay,
great.
I paid
I'm going to go watch
$20,
these
gonna do
windows.
that. Anyway, all right. That's it.
Anyway, thanks for coming to my therapy session.
Yeah.
I'm going to be better.
Or just work from home.
Actually,
the
my
answer.
plan is to work from home. I'm very excited to get back into more events and catering and
Yeah.
everything. So very, very thrilled.
right. Good stuff.
Good stuff. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you guys.
Yep.
Raise your standards.
And
Right.
be
Bye,
kind,
bye.
be kind, but stand your ground.
Yeah.
Restaurant punk.
Out.
like, seriously.
I just don't know this stuff. Because sometimes I don't want to deal with shit. Like, I just want to move the on. Yeah, I said it. Yeah, it was rude. Move on. Like,
I said what I said.
Restaurant Punk, what's up?